Coach, can you, from your first day on the job to right now, can you give me an example of an area where you see a night and day difference in terms of your comfort zone?
For me personally?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't know that I have an answer for you. I mean, I think it's so gradual. It's a natural progression to gain kind of comfort on the sideline, comfort in practice, comfort in film sessions, whatever it may be. There's a lot of, it's not just coaching, right? There's a lot of other stuff that goes into being a coach. And so I think that is something that takes time to kind of adapt to and make sure that you can service all of those components of the job. So I don't know if that's a really bad answer, but it's like a natural progression that I think I'm gaining in all areas, but not necessarily one that's not today.
Gotcha. Now, it feels like you have to learn about guys on the fly. You give me your thoughts on, the Tyler Cook, but also for the moment having to part ways with Shump and Robertson.
Yeah, I mean, it's the nature of kind of the structure of rosters and the rules and that guarantee date and all that stuff. So we recognize that that's a component of our season. We have to, fill the roster. We're gonna have to look at different guys. So, we'll have Tyler in and take a look at him, and we'll remain flexible as possible and see how this thing rounds out. When everything's settled. But I'm up for that kind of cycle and, whatever that is, embracing it and trying to see the positives in that. And there's so many things that we have to focus on that means there's so many that don't take our direct focus on a day-to-day basis, if that makes sense.
Brian Lewis, New York Post.
Hey, Steve, kind of following up in that vein, I mean, do you see an opportunity or space for either or both of them to kind of come back, short-term, 10-day type of thing? And do you see yourselves as still possibly being active in the buyout market?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that they could be back. That's a front office question, though. But in the buyout market, I think that's one of the reasons we want to remain flexible in my eyes is to see how we can improve our team. And I don't think that's any different. I mean, maybe there's some teams that are set, but I think for us, especially with the way the roster changed after the big trade, we have to remain flexible in order to keep our options open.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Steve, I don't know how much you've been able to watch of Tyler since you're signing, but where do you think he can help you guys? And then just what's the latest on Kevin and his hamstring?
I have no update on Kevin. But Tyler, we hope that he's a player that can come in and give us energy and versatility in the front court. And more than anything, take a look and see how he adapts to our group and how he's able to contribute. So that like we said, that's a process, and we'll see how things pan out. We're right in the middle of the season, so it's not like a training camp scenario. So it may not be as straightforward as it sounds, but definitely would love to evaluate him and see how he can help us.
Blake Andrews, ESPN.
Hi, Steve. Following up a little bit on Grady's question from earlier, is there something specific during this win streak? Kyrie Irving said he felt like they're being coached harder and he appreciates that. But there's something that you feel like you've learned about how you can coach this team over the course of this streak?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think, it started with the Detroit game where, it was a back-to-back. We came home. We're playing a very dangerous Indiana team and kind of laid it on the line for them before the game, which is not ideal in a regular season. You don't necessarily want to bring negative teaching clips before a game, but we didn't have a shoot around on a back-to-back with travel. So I thought we couldn't pass the opportunity to keep getting better. And, it started there. So we kind of, I don't want to say went after them, but we were very constructive with our criticism of what needed to improve. And, that started it. We started adding in shoot-arounds, which because of COVID and the condensed schedule, we tried to go away from to start, just not have be too waterlogged for the guys. And so now we're having shoot-arounds. We're getting just a few more touches to be more critical with our growth in a constructive and positive way. So I don't know if we're coaching them any harder, but we're definitely trying to cut to the chase and make sure that we are pointing out and improving and addressing issues. And I think that it coincided with just maybe a period of time where we finally kind of caught on to certain things we're trying to accomplish at both ends. And so that's a part of the improvement. And then there's the other part of it is that I really think the guys are coming together. Like there's more of a kind of a joy within the group. There's more energy. There's more of a bond in the locker room. I think all that stuff really matters and counts. So the confluence of all those things, I think has allowed us to improve during this streak. And, I wouldn't necessarily say that one was more important than the other, but they all count.
Do you look back on this streak and see it as a period where you think, we're always talking about player improvement, but you feel improved as a coach?
I don't know. Maybe I hope I'm continually improving.
Fine-tuned as a coach.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm getting comfort. I don't necessarily want to say, well, man, I'm a way better coach than I was 10 days ago. Because that's really hard to determine. I am gaining comfort. I'm learning. I'm getting to know my team and our challenges better. And it's on the players, a lot of it. And so they deserve the credit too. So we're here to facilitate their best performances and their best kind of gelling, let's say, where how can this team play their best basketball collectively and individually. So that is on the players, and we try to guide them and help them get there. But I don't like to sit here and say, oh yeah, I'm just coaching the heck out of my team. I'm balling over here. So
do it. Say it. Thanks.
Yeah, take it one step at a time.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press.
You're doing all right, Steve. Did you spend any time yesterday looking at your schedule at all? I know coaches always say one day at a time, just focus on today, but we've never had a situation where you don't know who you're playing 2 weeks from now during the season.
Sure. To be honest, I've only just glanced at it in its entirety. I looked at the whole thing, but I haven't actually mapped it out in my head. As you start to kind of put them together in little chunks. I think when you've been around the league long enough, and that's kind of the way you memorize, or at least have an idea of the way it's going to flow. But I haven't even got there yet. I've just kind of glanced over it and really just tried to focus on these last games before the break.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach, I'm curious how you handled the responsibility of voting for AllStar reserves. Was there a specific system that you used? Was it team record? Was it how that player performed against you? How did you approach that?
To be honest, we just discussed it as a staff and tried to have some fun with it and debated it and threw the names down. And there wasn't any real science to it or methodology. We just kind of, gave our opinions and kind of came to a bit of a consensus, and everyone was kind of cool with it. And so I submitted it with the input of our staff.
Tom Dowd, BrooklynNets.com.
Hey, Steve, you referenced this a little bit, but how hard is it to evaluate a new addition within, your practice schedule, especially in the case of Tyler, who's kind of a younger guy and is maybe not as much of a known quantity as Shump or Vonleh was?
It is harder for a guy that you haven't seen play in the league. And so you can have some point of reference for their kind of experience and what they bring to the table and where their gap is in order to contribute. So a little trickier. They'll play with the Stay Ready group, which it's not nothing. It's really important for their development and for evaluating, but it's not a game, so to speak. So that does cause us challenges. So we'll see if the opportunity arises for him to get in a game where you can kind of more clearly see and envision what that person could be, even if they don't necessarily knock it out of the park. You could say, okay, well, I can see how this person could fit this role for us potentially. So, getting in the game, I think is a luxury. If we can do that, great. But if we can't, we rely on that Stay Ready group and just the way their attitude. I think that so underrated, and maybe not. Maybe everyone understands, but just your approach, your attitude, your competitiveness. Those things are as important as the skill you bring to the table.
Matt Brooks, Nets Daily.
Hey, Steve, when you first took this job, I know we're having a lot of discussions about when you first took the position itself today, but you mentioned there was a need for adversity. Do you feel like you guys have gotten that with all the guys in and out of the lineup, or even some of the losses at some point? Do you feel like you've gotten that requisite adversity?
Well, I do believe in that. I think that adversity builds resolve and a toughness and a cohesion. I think it's hard to say when you've had the requisite adversity, but I think we've had plenty of stuff thrown at us. We've had some bad losses. We've had some poor performances. We've had a waterlogged schedule. We had lots of change in our roster. So lots of different things have been thrown at us, and to see us rounding into some sort of cohesion has been really rewarding. You want to walk that fine line between getting punched in the gut repeatedly and winning games, and it's still, at the same time, still building, moving forward, and gaining that resolve when it counts.
Thanks for your time, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.